It's all over, folks, as the life support plug on Vancouver's season has unfortunately been pulled on a night Canucks fans didn't expect to see their season end on, with Captain Quinn Hughes speaking on this tumultuous season for the Canucks. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest, so first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all Canucks updates as we head through what's left of this regular season and into the offseason. And with that, let's hop it straight into things, and that's going to be that it is over. So on a night that the Canucks weren't even playing, with the Minnesota Wild winning an overtime victory against the San Jose Sharks, 8-7 mind you last night, the idle Canucks have been mathematically eliminated from postseason contention. For a team that entered the season with Stanley Cup aspirations, it's not the ending anyone in the organization hoped for, but their 36-29-13 record wasn't enough to make a repeat appearance in the postseason this year. And then going further on it, Canucks, after completing their most successful season in a decade, where they earned a Pacific Division win in a first-round victory and took the future Stanley Cup finalist Oilers to 7 games, the below-par season can't entirely be attributed to poor play across the board. Though there were some aggressive seasons from key players, the Canucks dealt with substantial injuries to starting goalie Thatcher Demko, Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, Brock Boeser, Dakota Joshua, and spent limited time with a fully healthy roster. Ultimately, it was a combination of injuries, down years from top players, and distracting off-ice drama that contributed to Vancouver becoming the first and perhaps only Canadian team faced with mathematical elimination. That last one, that really does sting there, where we don't want to be the only team in Canada that doesn't get to go to the dance. There are going to be teams like Calgary, they're fighting, Montreal is fighting, Toronto's already punched their ticket, Edmonton's already punched their ticket, Winnipeg's already punched their ticket, and yet we're going to be at home. Ottawa, they're still even fighting for a playoff spot too, and we're going to be sitting at home watching all the other Canadian teams at the big dance. Unfortunately, we won't be the team to bring the cup back to Canada this season. However, there is always next season, but overall, this season as a whole, obviously very disappointing. You didn't get the result that we wanted, not even getting close to the result that we wanted as far as making the playoffs. But with that, like the article was saying, and like we've been saying all year, this wasn't a matter of the Canucks just being bad. You guys have been following along all the drama all season. It's been all up, down, all the way around, sideways, and in frickin' circles at this point, because Vancouver just was in an absolute whirlwind this year. You had the whole JT Miller and Elias Pettersson drama, and then you had the drama that was being stirred up by the Canucks front office and them saying their piece in it as well. Then you had all the injuries. Yes, injuries happen every season, but it looked like for the Vancouver Canucks this year, injuries were always a constant, and especially when it's our top players. Almost an entire top 6 was injured throughout this entire season, and a lot of our best bottom 6 guys too were. And that led to a lot of AHL guys needing to make the step up, and a lot of those guys, they stepped up to the plate. Aatu Räty, he's going to be a full-time member of the roster next year. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, he probably has another half season left before he finds himself in the Vancouver Canucks roster permanently. Maybe even a full season, who knows? You got Tom Willander that's going to be coming on the rise. I know he didn't play in the AHL, but there's a lot of hype around him. Obviously, you guys have heard us speak his praises as well. Then you had other guys too. Max Sasson, he had a really good start earlier in the season. Then even later in the season when that breakaway goal happened the other night, he did a great job with that. You had some other guys that are really stepping up. You had DPD Jr., Elias Pettersson making a huge step up where he definitely will be a permanent member of this Canucks defensive core. So yes, did it suck having to have a lot of AHL guys step up and not having our best players on the ice all the time? Of course. But at least we were able to showcase that, hey, a lot of teams came into this season saying Vancouver's AHL system and their prospect system was one of the weakest in the NHL or just middle in the pack. We really proved that these prospects, they can hang with the big boys. Might take them a little bit of time. There's still some adjusting and still some full-time NHL play that needs to happen before that gets to that point. However, with what I saw this season out of our AHL prospects, I got to give mad props to not only those players, but also Manny Malhotra with what he's been able to do in Abbotsford this season to make sure that these guys, whenever that call comes from Patrik Allvin or Jim Rutherford, they are making sure that those guys are ready to jump on the NHL ice and make the most of their opportunities. And they've been able to do that. And before we go any further, obviously hats off to what Manny has been able to do in Abbotsford. Fantastic job. If Rick Tocchet finds himself not as our coach in matter seasons, obviously I think Manny Malhotra will be the prime candidate to take over for the Vancouver Canucks. Hopefully, doesn't happen, not for a long time at least. But I definitely think that's something that Vancouver is definitely planning for in the future, where If it doesn't work out with Tocchet where they can't get him long term, or he gets to the end of his long term deal, they want to keep Manny Malhotra within the system to make sure that they can bump him up for a promotion. But even without all of that, going back to all the things that there was drama with this year, we touched on JT Miller, we touched on the AHL guys need to step up. Then you have the injuries. Kevin Lankinen, saving grace this season. I know when he went through his flu, it was a bit of a rough patch there and a little bit of injuries there even with him, but he still fought through and was a great backup goalie and even just a solid 1B and at times 1A when we needed him to be because of Thatcher Demko's injury. Artur Shilov's, that was the storyline that we thought was going to continue this season. Didn't entirely work out. Then you had Thatcher Demko and all those injuries too, and that was a very big part of why the Canucks weren't in the playoff race even for a lot longer than they were. Because if we had Thatcher Demko for more games, obviously we would have won more games. And I could go on and on about the what ifs of this season. If we had Elias Pettersson not get hurt, if we didn't have the drama, if we didn't have this, if we didn't have that. Fortunately, the fact of the matter is we did have all that, and that's where we're at in our standings, and that's why we're not going to be in the playoffs this season and probably going to hit the golf course. But one person who I do want to touch on who gave a great interview with Sportsnet yesterday is our captain, Quinn Hughes, talking about the season as a whole, just saying it's been a long year, and I think that the position where we are, that realization probably has rattled me more than it needed to. I would say it has hurt me just where we are in the standings. I just thought we'd be a contender this year. Quinn, you're not the only one thinking that. We came into this season thinking that, the Canucks were going to be not unstoppable. We knew they weren't going to be Superman, but we thought that they definitely got better in a lot of areas. We had some free agents that didn't work out. Danton Heinen, Daniel Sprong, that didn't work out. Vinny Desharnais, that didn't work out. Derek Forbert's kind of been working out a bit more, not as far as points, but as far as being a shutdown defender and being able to be good on the penalty kill. He's been a great pairing with Marcus Pettersson. And that was the other thing. At the trade deadline, we brought in a lot of guys. Filip Hronek, unfortunately, that didn't work out as well. Where he's looking like he probably will have a career-ending concussion with that. Hopefully, wish nothing but the best for him in his recovery and hoping that he just lives a happy life in retirement, or if he does decide to continue to play, hopefully he can stay healthy. Drew O'Connor was a great pickup this season. There was a lot of great pickups and some departures that we had, unfortunately. But overall, yeah, a lot of stuff going on this year. And as far as the injuries too, Quinn was talking about the injuries, saying that as far as the oblique and injuries happen. A couple were lucky, like with my hand. That was just a weird thing last year. I played all 82 games, and this year I've been a little unlucky. But I don't think anything is going to eat away at me in the summer because I know that I've tried my best and I've tried to prepare my best. So obviously I think with Quinn Hughes going through a lot of adversity this season, we haven't seen him really go through as much as he went through this season, not only with injuries, but just in general with having to right the ship of this insane locker room this season with the JT Miller and Elias Pettersson drama. Then you have all the Rick Tocchet stuff coming out lately and just so much, especially with the injuries. So yeah, Quinn Hughes, I definitely think next season we're going to see him with a fire under his ass because he wants to win another Norris. Not only that, but he wants to win a Stanley Cup more than anything. And yeah, even with the injuries and with the tumultuous drama with the Canucks this season, he still could win the Norris this year. I don't think he's going to necessarily do it because of the team that Vancouver had this year. But looking at the numbers, especially if he played all 82, he would definitely be primed for a repeat Norris Trophy this season. So it is unfortunately to see that. And yes, one of the great injustices of this season is how good Quinn Hughes has been with nothing to show for it. At the time of the tweet that was sent out with this, he was third in NHL defenseman despite missing 14 games and playing with a cadre of Canucks forwards who seemingly forgot how to score goals. Carried the Canucks all season, if not for his untimely injuries, would have carried them all the way to the playoffs. I definitely think that's the case. I definitely think if we had Elias Pettersson through this stretch more, Niels Höglander didn't get injured. That's another injury we didn't talk about that happened in a critical part of the game. So yeah, injuries and inconsistencies, I think you could say, and drama was the storylines of the Canucks this season. Just went through so much where a lot of teams, they didn't go through nearly as much as the drama, let alone in the injuries department, let alone in the off-ice drama, let alone in the coaching drama. It just seems like these past two seasons, any drama that happens within the NHL that isn't Jeremy Swayman related seems to be going all the way back to Vancouver. It seemed like there was a lot of eyes on Vancouver this season, especially after the season they had last year, where they had a phenomenal season and couldn't follow up on it. So yeah, there was a lot of expectation from fans and media and a lot of pressure. Fortunately, with the injuries piling up, we could not live up to those expectations. However, with all the noise that was around us this season, it just got amplified so much that if we were winning games, these problems and these issues wouldn't have been amplified the way that they were. But when you're losing games, that's when problems get amplified even more so. No one cares about problems when you're winning. As long as you're winning games, they don't care. They don't ask how, they ask how many. But with Vancouver, it became a matter of we want to know how you're losing these games, because something's going wrong here versus what we're looking at on paper. And whether it was injuries, whether it was teammates fighting, whether it was drama in the front office, it was just all over the place for Vancouver this season. I know you guys went through it this year along with us. Can't imagine what the players were going through. A lot of guys, as much as we had some guys with down years, we had a lot of guys with career years. Pius Suter, Connor Garland, Dakota Joshua was, unfortunately, he had a lot of injuries as well. Kevin Lankinen, he had a phenomenal career year as well. So there was a lot of disappointment this season, but there was still a lot of shining silver linings in the Canucks this season. Unfortunately, doesn't matter because you didn't make playoffs or win the cup. However, it's just a lot more momentum to carry into next season to say, hey, we got a bad taste in our mouth after last season. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Let's go out and kick ass next season and make sure that we can be that team that you guys counted us out as last year, where we can be, hey, we can come in here, storm through the league, make sure you guys put us all on notice, and make sure we can surprise you guys in games. Because Vancouver was one of the most surprising teams last season in the NHL, just dominating the way that they did, and no one was expecting it to. Call it overachieving if you want, but they were expected to carry that over into this season. Didn't happen. However, with the coach that we have, with the players that we have, the competitors that we have, I don't see Vancouver having a season like this next season. I can see us, as long as we're healthy, I could see us really making a push to go back and win that Pacific Division and make sure we are in a good playoff seating so that we can be comfortable at this time of year rather than be stressing our heads off like we have been for the past few weeks. But what did you guys think of just having this news happen on a night where the Canucks weren't even playing to disappoint us? But what did you guys think on this season as a whole? Let us know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think it was a matter of inconsistency more than injuries more than inconsistency, drama more than anything? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. We're still going to be powering through this season. We still got games to play. We still got news to break. And of course, we have the offseason coming up. So stay tuned for Canucks Digest for all of that. Mark and I are going to be very active this summer, making sure that we can bring you guys some amazing content during the down months and before we get into the drafts and the free agency. But until then, we still got the last few games this regular season to enjoy of hockey before we head into a long summer break. So let's enjoy the last of Canucks hockey while we can, even though the games aren't as meaningful and maybe Quinn Hughes gets shut down. However, it's still hockey, and then we still have playoffs even though we won't be in it. But we still have hockey for as long as we have it. So let's just enjoy it while we can before hockey goes away for a few months. But with that, I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.